Jeez, talk about costing an arm and a leg. I mean, I'll give him credit. He took up arms. Maybe Kin shouldn't have ran the 1-on-1. He probably should have called it the arm mod. I mean, maybe he could use the arm. I mean, you gotta hand it to... You know what? Let's just say it wasn't the smoothest handoff. I'll forget it. Thank you to our final patrons, Sinners Lancelot, Praise the Sun, Strawbones, and Aaron. Now, before we hop into this breakdown/review of Chapter 63 of Record of Ragnarok, please if you leave your own notes on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below, where you can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, exclusive content, and more. Now, let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? I'm and here we are to review Chapter 63 of Record of Ragnarok, which is known as the beginning of the end. And there's honestly nothing more apt to that, because this really is the beginning of the end. But enough of that, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up and we do get to see that, you know, taking a super powerful divine blood enhanced spear thingamajig fused with the pommel or handle or hilt, essentially Desmos did some darn damage to that shoulder. Like, golly gee willikers, it's actually impressive the way he's still conscious. Like, he's missing, like, do you just call it a shoulder bone? Or like, I'm not even sure, like, his whole trap is gone. Like he may have laid a trap, but Hades took it. He didn't get caught. He just took it. And he is just bleeding like crazy. Like, his arm literally looks like it's hanging on by a thread. And to be fair, anyone's arm would be hanging on like a thread like that after taking what he just took. And we get to see that even that young boy, Heimdall, was like, yo, maybe these volumes really do suck. How does impregnable defense get broken like that? And I mean, I already went on a rant last time about how these things just like suck. Like, defensively, like I just don't. I mean, I get it, but I don't. But really, when you think about it, like, maybe in this is a very special case where I'll be like, alright, fine, I'll let it slide. But like, because the thing is, this one was literally like a half god going up against the weapon that was already crafted to be a divine weapon, empowered by the blood of the king of the underworld, one of the big three. So like, technically it does make extreme amounts of sense for her to get like popped open like this, but at the same time, this is, I think, almost every single volume. The volume, the first one broke. I mean, to be fair, Adam's volume didn't break. So let's see, that's 1. Then skip Adam. 2 for Sasaki. Sure, Revolum did, but still. Let's see, 3. Jax didn't break. So he's good. So it's about like in every other pattern thing. And then again, I don't think Raiden and Shiva's didn't break. But then Buddha's broke. And that was an actual divine weapon. And now we're back to this breaking too. So I don't know, these divine weapons, they just ain't the best, bro. Like, maybe we need to get a new one. But regardless of that, it is crazy to see that, yeah, once again, just through, and it goes to show you how powerful Hades really is. Like, he hasn't done anything special. Like he's literally just been stabbing at Kin and like maybe swinging down, and that's about it. And he's just straight raw powering through all of Kin's tech, like a merger of Kin's technique and divine weaponry. Like, that is, it's crazy, and it goes to show you like the different breed, the different level that these warrior deities are on when it comes to just raw strength. He doesn't have to use tactics, he doesn't have to use any of that, he's just boom. And in a case, and the reason, because I know some people have known me for a while and be like, wait a minute, yeah, he's doing the same thing the entire time. I thought you didn't like it when Heracles did that. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't. And to be fair, when I drop my full review of this fight, I'm going to talk about how boring the choreography is for at least Hades. But with that being said, the difference between what Heracles is doing and what Hades is doing is that, as we can see by the gaping hole in his arm, what Hades is doing is working. Well, not the gaping hole in Hades' arm, but Kin's. But Heracles didn't work at all. Period, point blank. So is booty water. But enough of that, let's hop right back into the chapter. So we see that even the deities are like, whoa. Like, I knew Lord Hades was about it, but I didn't know he was about it. Like, straight up, they're just like, whoa there, big fella. You don't need to pull out the true power on him real quick. And it does, once again, Ragnarok is a world that I'm so it's a world that I'm so fundamentally interested in outside of the to be fair, the mythological context does help, but I'll tell you something, I have no idea, well, yeah, I pretty much have no idea about any of Shiva's mythology. I'd love to see a whole journey around him. Like, the way that the world is structured makes me want to see more of it, and to be fair, that's hard to do, especially in a series that is literally all about fighting. Like, we got some backstory here and there, drizzled in. We got some goated backstories here and there. But literally 90% of the manga is people punching people and stabbing people and slashing people. Like, this isn't the most, like, boom, grab you by the throat. We're going to have discussions about the way the world works and stuff like that. Like, My Hero Academia is a narrative that is like, hey, we have an interesting world that's slightly different from your own. Let's talk about it. I'd say Seven Deadly Sins is a story that plays with the world and starts it off in a very small, confined way and then expands it out massively so you get more and more context. So you kind of get to explore the world. Then I'd say for like any of your slice of life anime, the world doesn't necessarily matter. Meanwhile, not only just your average slice of life anime, but heck, I haven't watched much of Baki, but from what I know of Baki, the world doesn't seem to matter too much. It's just a set piece. Meanwhile, this world is interesting to look into. It's interesting to have discussions about. It's interesting overall. And one of the major things that supports that and allows that is the mystique that the gods have even about each other, despite them literally all being gods. Like, they should know what they all can do, but obviously they can't. So just a simple declaration that, whoa, this is his true power. What a spectacular strike. That's insane. Like, these beings reacting like that, really, really cool. Really goes to show you the echelons of power and the echelons of mystery that exist within Record of Ragnarok. However, I spent all this time talking about the first page. Let's move on to the second one. And once again, I really love to see Thor, Shiva, and Loki just all like, wow, whoa, wait a minute. Like, Thor even just straight up just laughs. Like, wait, let me get a good lead. I think he even grinned a little bit. So obviously, he's impressed. And once again, I don't know, seeing these characters that we already have seen fight, or not in Loki's case, but characters we have established, having them watch and react, and characters like Shiva, it's just great. And it's always cool to see, like, little things. Like, once again, Thor is still sitting in his throne room, hand on Mjolnir, fully dressed up again. But look at Shiva. His arms are more progressed than the last time we saw him, because obviously time has been passing. And Loki's just somewhere. I don't know where he walked off. I think he walked off way... Thinking, calculating. I think at the start of the Shiva versus Raiden fight, and he just hasn't come back. That's why he's watching on an iPad, but like, where is he? Where did he get that? Can I have one? I don't know. This seems very strange. But we do get to see, as cool as that is, that even, once again, it's just that juicy world building. Because not only is it good to get the fun character reactions, like with Thor and Shiva, who are like complimenting Hades, I'm like, whoa, the games go a little bit crazy. I see you. Even Odin. I was about to say, like, Thor Odin, but we're talking about Odin. Even Odin is like, whoa. So that's the power that drove back the Titans, huh? That's a little bit crazy, you know what I'm saying? Well, he doesn't say all that. But Odin does open his mouth and speak to presumably nobody. Like, who is anyone? I mean, maybe he speaks to the crows, but like, no one is around him at this point. Both of his sons are just gone. So I don't know who he's talking to. But him... And once again, it's that the echelons of power, the echelons of knowledge, the echelons of mystery. So it is pretty well known, or not, maybe not. It's known that Hades pushed back the Titans on his own. But what that means in the context of that is so up in the air that someone as all-knowing and as wise as Odin is like, whoa. So that's the power. Whoa. Wait a minute. And like it's putting things into context. However, notably, I know there's like this big theory going on, and I don't even blame him, because it is kind of set up that Record of Ragnarok may not end traditionally, like, oh, one side wins, the end, happy ever after. It'll also be a happy, you know what else would be a happily ever after? English. If you hit the like button, it would greatly help out the channel, greatly help me out, greatly help everybody out. So I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying the video, and also if you're enjoying the video so far and you haven't subscribed, I've got a whole list of reviews, got a whole bunch of Record of Ragnarok content on the channel, and a whole lot more planned for the future, so I'd really appreciate it if you stuck around. Thank you. However, back into this, it's interesting to see that Odin, with how wise and all-knowing that he is, could hypothetically be planning a coup, but the thing is, the reason that it hasn't happened yet until this point is because he didn't necessarily have an estimation of the other gods' abilities or powers, and now he's getting to see them, like, point blank in front of him. He's seeing everything, and it could be more than he expected. And the idea that these beings hold levels of power, like, it's not just like humanity, the gods are not a unified front, and that makes underlying tensions and possible secret motivations all the more interesting to theorize and discuss. And I appreciate that. I like that. It's the little bits of extra effort that go a long way. However, we do get to see that everyone is just like giving Hades like they're straight slurping that man, because even Hermes is like, well, you know, the reason of mine weapon, that's a little nutty, my boy. Like, wait a minute, calm down. And Ares agrees, but no one cares about Ares. But the thing is, it makes sense for Ares to be caught a bit off guard. But once again, the idea that even Hermes didn't know about all that. Hermes! The Herms! That should be crazy. And once again, like, I do secretly believe that if he's not the strongest Greek deity, he's definitely up there, like, I'd say relative to the big three, beside, like, all his uncles. Like, I think his uncles and his dad, I think Hermes is up there. The narrative has done too much to convince me of that. Like, one way or another, his sly, deceptive perception, like all that, Hermes is up there, at least to me. But it's once again very interesting that of his caliber, and he's still thinking like, you know, Hades he builds a little bit different. And we get to see that while Adamas is proud, and yo, like, no, like, Ares, bro. Let me level with you real quick. That's your uncle. On a good day. I bet Hades doesn't even want to, like, it's going to sound bad, but if Ares was my nephew, I wouldn't even claim him. It'd be like, someone would be like, hey, yo, Uncle Pencil, how you doing, man? I'll be like, hey, yo, that's good, Herms, how you doing, bro? So, like, you know, how's the life? How you cooking? What's up with the transportation? You know, being the guy on the roads and all stuff like that. Oh, it's going pretty good. You want to go say hello to Ares? Who? My brother. Who? I don't. That's crazy, man. I know. Oh, how's Artemis doing? Oh, bet she's doing great. Apollo? Yo, tell me about that. Yeah, I just couldn't claim him. Because the thing is, Ares calls Hades our elder brother. And Adamas should have said it. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a good line, right? How noble Hades looks while soaked in blood and holding Desmos out. You get a beautiful shot of Hades. But that's not your elder brother, bro. like, not exactly sure why Ares delivered that line. Who knows? Maybe a mistranslation. I know the official translations of the manga are finally coming out, and I think certain things are changing. Like, I don't think the eyes of the Lord are even the eyes of the Lord anymore. I think they're called, like, divine reflection, which is an infinitely worse name. No, if you had started me off with divine reflection, I would have been like, whoa, that's so cool. But eyes of the Lord goes way too crazy. But little things like that. Maybe it'll be something different. But the thing, it's very interesting, the narrative themes that are put into this fight. I'm not gonna lie. But we'll get into that in a little bit. We do get to see that with that piece of literally all the tier off of Kid now, due to the whole like life force bond, it kind of just breaks apart and goes away, as Ken's body would, because the two are linked both physically and spiritually right now, so obviously any loss of their physical or spiritual body parts would decompose and harm them both. And we get to see that with this whole, like, it's weird to call it like a blood pact. It's not necessarily a blood pact, but like this whole contract of fates intertwined, obviously they're going to be taking damage. And notably, I do think it's very interesting here because how do I put this? The Valkyries have never necessarily been the most active characters within the fights. Like, I literally, did Adam's Valkyrie even speak? Other than, like, we must bond. Like, that, like, they didn't, I don't think they had any interactions. Notably, like, Jack's Valkyrie had a personality, but it's literally, if you were to put Jack's Valkyrie and Kin's Valkyrie right next to each other and say, go. If I literally didn't just read this chapter, I would definitely get it wrong. That's how, like, similar they look, and they even seem to have some similar attitudes. But once again, Jack's whole Volund kind of just was dead silent, like, showed up at the start, got grabbed by the throat, bada bing, bada boom, fused into, and then popped out at the end of the fight and sent him off. The only one that's been, like, remotely active mid-fight, and I may be misremembering this because I haven't read the fight in a little bit, I think literally just Raiden's Volund. And even then, that was, like, pop up right in the middle and then die. So, in terms of, like, active nature and, like, really showing off Fates Intertwine's downside, like, the whole dual damage thing, it's good that we get to see Valkyrie literally pop out and have that chip in her shoulder. Like, quite literally, a piece of her is straight up missing. Though, I mean, I get why the mangaka at the shoulder. It's the easiest analog to do in this case. But she's not Kin's full body armor. She's just the spaulders. That's one of my things with Kin. Like, his whole design isn't necessarily very balanced. Like, personally, I'm going into such a weird artistic thing, but personally, if I was designing Kin, I would have kept the spaulders, like, and keep all of that, but, like, balance on the bottom, maybe give him, like, a cape, maybe not a cape, or, like, essentially the same thing Hades has, just to make it, like, maybe more thick and armor or something like that, make it more balanced, because it's so top heavy. But reasonably, based on how she's, like, formed into that, the piece of the spaulders that got torn off should not just be her shoulder, it should probably be, like, literally a good chunk of her body. Like, at least a good chunk into her, like, torso should be gone. But obviously, one, that'd be pretty gruesome to show for a Valkyrie, and two, it's just an easier analog. I just noticed that upon my initial reading. I was like, maybe we shouldn't do that. But of course, we do get to see that with this whole scenario being put up on the forefront, questions are starting to be asked. And we see that Kin asks if Valkyrie is okay. Because obviously, if she's not alright, this battle ain't gonna be alright. He pretty much can't do nothing without her, considering the whole interesting spoilers for God of High School, but it's very interesting that it's not necessarily the equivalent to the thing in God of High School, though. The idea that the gods are completely invulnerable to most weaponry and you need to use a defined weapon. It sounds similar to something, but then again, Raiden could just manhandle Shiva. Like, that's a little bit too different, but it's oddly, it's close enough that I squint at it. for I won't spoil God of High School, but for those who have read God of High School know what I'm talking about. It's very interesting how close a certain thing in God of High School and a certain thing here are. But with this being the case, Alvatir's like, hey, no, I can always grow the shoulder back. It'll be fine. And we get to see, honestly though, like, Kin blames himself here, but she kind of just folded. And like, I'm not saying it's reasonable for, like, who knows, it probably is just more unrealistic for a Valkyrie, a half goddess, to stand up to the might of a big 3 member like Hades. I ain't saying it would necessarily make the most sense if she did. However, she kind of folded there. Like, Ken, you don't gotta blame yourself, bro. Like, it's good. It's good. She was the one who was caught lacking, and now you're stuck out here in these streets. And we get to see that while Alvatir is brushing it all off, obviously she is a bit worried about Ken, because, you know, the whole arm thing. Like, it would probably be better if she was taking more of the damage rather than him taking more of the damage. But obviously he just doesn't care about that. He's like, it's very interesting. It's very interesting the way this is put, but it makes sense reasonably. And that's the whole thing about Kin's pain thing. Because the thing that pains me is that you may have not hit the like button yet. You know, the like button is free, and it will greatly help out the channel and me, and reach more content for people who like regular Ragnarok content, and people who could possibly like my content in general. If you're enjoying the video, please hit the like button. It's free. Also, if you're new here and you haven't hit the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that too. Greatly helps me out, greatly helps the channel out, greatly helps reach of the channel, and I think you have a whole lot of stuff to enjoy. However, once again, back into the chapter, it's very interesting that Kin, due to experiencing all that pain from other people, is like, I mean, you know, it hurts, but it hurts so good in a way. Like it doesn't necessarily bother him, essentially, that he's in so much pain after having his body torn open, because it's his own pain. It's like once you slaughter enough people, you kind of grow numb to the feeling, which does explain why he's standing pretty well here with a whole chunk of his a decent chunk of his upper torso missing. And we get to see that this kingly nature sort of ends up inspiring all of its here. And we cut back to a hater, and I hate to, hold on, I need to take a sip. I need to take a sip for this one. Nah, bro, but like, no, that guy with the ASMR. But why? Sasuke, why you hating, bro? This doesn't look good. And Soji, why you hating too, bro? Yeah, he can't use that anymore, can he? He saw me. Chill. It's all over now. What? Whoa. So, Sasuke, we ain't gonna act like you literally had a hole stabbed in your torso and your volume broke, like your volume standing right next. In fact, I mean, that's very interesting now that I think about it. One gets damaged but doesn't die, and they just split into their multiple personality disorder. The other one gets hit, broken, and doesn't die, but takes damage on their astral form. I don't know. Valkyries are weird, but regardless, it is kind of crazy that these master swordsmen, I guess they just look at the fight and they're like, well, he's done. Like, there's nothing he can do now that he lost his arm. And to be fair, I'm trying to think of any other scenario previously. The only person who got, like, de-limbed and actually seemed to have any chance of victory and ended up actually winning was Shiva. Like, what happened when Lubu's legs got broken? He got on a horse. If anyone had faith in Lubu at that point, you're better than me. Sasuke never necessarily got de-limbed, neither did Adam or Zeus. By the time Poseidon got de-limbed, he was gone. Like, getting de-limbed in regular Ragnarok is a pretty bad thing, but to be fair, Kin isn't even de-limbed. He's just hanging on by a thread. But we do get to see that essentially what Sasuke sees is a basic battle breakdown. He's like, well, now that he can't use the air bubbles because of the blood, and he also can't use his left shoulder, meaning he doesn't have the heavenly hand of defense. And so far, he hasn't shown off any other kind of weaponry, so it's maybe a GG. And we get to see that there's no way for Kin to guard against Hades' attacks, so if he can't guard, what's he supposed to do? And it's a good point. Even if Kin were to somehow dodge forever, it's very unlikely he has the stamina to outlast up being like Hades, who literally just stabbed himself for fun and fought all the Titans. Like, Kin may be a demon, arguably scaling above all the Titans by being able to do that much damage to Hades at all, and like forcing him into this kind of position. But at the same time, obviously Kin's a human and Hades is a deity, so their levels of power and potency are just a little bit different. And finally, we get into the fight itself after all this posturing, and we get to see that he's like, hey, yo, let me live with you real quick, bro. Take pride, my boy. You managed to get me to pull out Daddy D. Big Desmos in the building. You deserve some call for that, my boy. Like, he essentially says, and I find it funny. I know it's not meant to be taken this way, but it literally, it sounds like to me that Hades is like, hey, bro, don't knock the hustle, bro. You did great for an inferior, a weakling, a fodder. Like, did great. And I know it's literally meant to be respect. Like, obviously, Desmos is a big bad deal. Last time it was brought up was literally the Titans, but at the same time, it does seem a little condescending, even with Hades' pure look of happiness, or not necessarily happiness, but respect. But we do get to see that Kin is sort of left in a void. Even Heimdall is like, well, since Lord Hades' gains are so massive, seems like a GG to me. But we do get to see that our boy still has some hope left in him. And he goes to Alvatir and he's like, yo, let me level with you real quick. If we don't win, if we don't figure something out, if we don't make this work, this is the end. We stand no chance at winning. And the both of us gonna die. So let me level with you real quick. Considering this arm is about to be unarmed, I'm gonna need you to do me a favor. We put everything in those last strike. And I love how Alvatir, like, she has that moment of realization, like, oh lord, I'm really about to die. But then she's like, well, if I'm about to die, I might as well die with style. And she actually proceeds to roast him, like, yo, you can't take me out of this world in such a vile, disgusting way. Like, that was pathetic. That was yo, what's like, I get it. Like, Hades was supposed to be displaying respect, and obviously Alvatir's thing was like, where's your pride as a king? Like, both of those perfectly valid, but like, darn, they are roasted, my boy. One after they took a whole chunk out of him, and the other when she got a whole chunk out of her. Like, leave my man be. Say what you learn loud and clear like a king. What you know about a king? What do you know about kings? Like, watch your mouth. But we do get to see that Ken is like, wow, you really are a copy paste of your sister. I like Jack's Volwood better. However, let me level with you. I need this dub, whether it's the last thing I do or not. You know, that dub go crit. No, I'm kidding. But in actuality, it is cool to see that, once again, it's kind of like now that we have the context of young Kin the Kid, if you will, it is great to see aspects of that happy child, that joyous child, that child filled with life and happiness and joy spark through, even in a moment like this. You get this beautiful panel of Kin smiling, fists gripped, and you just see the massive gaping hole, but it doesn't matter because the light's raining down from, I'd say the light's raining down from the heavens, but they are in the heavens. But regardless, the purity of his kingmanship is what makes Kin. And such a declaration, despite being simple, despite being plain, it's the delivery of it and how he is passionate in the idea of victory that brings a smile to Alvatir's face. And we get to see that Kin offers his hand, and Alvatir declares that you kings are so stubborn. So Alvatir, what kind of kings you been rocking with, huh? Huh? Is it just Odin? Is it just Odin? You been rocking with Odin? Is that it? We be rocking with some other king. You be hopping pantheons? Hopping pants theons, huh? Huh? What you talking about other kings for? No, I'm sorry. But we do get to see that in a similar case to before, there's pretty much a Revolund, which is great. I do like that this is pretty much an active Revolund rather than, like, and by active, I mean a conversation between two parties, being the Valkyrie and the human. Meanwhile, the last time we got a real Revolund was like, I guess really Sasuke, right? Like, that was pretty much it. And he sort of just was like, that wasn't necessarily a bond between the Valkyrie and Sasuke. That was more so just like, sorry, bro, my swords are too cool. Let me grab these real quick and feud. Like he legit just Revolunded by pure will alone. Meanwhile, this like dual-sided nature of the Revolund hits a lot harder here because it's these two they're literally agreeing to die together. And to be fair, that's what every Valkyrie does the moment they decide to partner up with a human. But against these inevitable odds, instead of running away, or instead of being, or going quietly into the night, Valkyrie decides to stand tall. And once she got the kingly affirmation, of course, she's ready to do what he needs her to do. And I need you to do something for me. If you haven't hit the like button yet, I greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel a lot. It helps everybody out a lot. And did you know it's free? Like, it doesn't even cost you anything. Just hit the like button real quick. Thank you. And also, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Thank you. However, we do get to see that Kin, his eyes open wide, and he gets to see that Valkyrie was holding out on him. Like, she says, let me give you all the power I've got. You didn't before? Like, y'all realize your fates are intertwined, right? Like, Valkyrie, maybe you should have put a little more of this juice into the initial block so Hades wouldn't shatter you. Like I was about to say, shatter your armor, but no, literally shatter you. Come on now. But we do get to see that with his remaining good arm, the right one, he has the volumed energy rewrapping around his body. And we get pretty much what we get for every Valkyrie, which I do like. Once again, not too brushed up on my Norse mythology. Admittedly, I'm not brushed up on most of my mythology. It's been years since I did like in-depth mythology research. But we get to learn about Hilvertir, or Alvitir. I'm just gonna keep calling her Alvitir. We learn that the power within her runes is Host Guard, which is very interesting. Which the meaning of which is the greatest defense, so to speak. Oh, the greatest defense is offense. But then why did she assume that form first? I don't know. It seems weird to me. Like, why would you, if the greatest defense is offense, meaning like Alvitir is meant to be a much more offensive, like kind of Volund, like you gotta wield her pretty much aggressively, or she prefers or is meant to be wielded aggressively. Why would you go up with a mostly defensive form and not just immediately perform Hwang's sword? His Guojian sword. Guojian. I'm not sure how to say it. But, you know, reveals, you gotta hold it off. And we get to see that with this blade formed, Hades is shocked. Well, not necessarily shocked. He's much more like interested. He's looking on with interest. While Hwang is like, well, hate to say it, but I'm an emperor. A king among kings. And a king only takes pride in protecting his people. Notably, I don't think he'd be voiced like that at all, but the line would read like that. And I love that. Hades, through all of it, it's truly here. He's like, yo, wait a minute. Excellent, oh lofty king. Now, admittedly, obviously, once again, it's cool. Hades is respecting Kin as an actual king. He's not just calling him a lowly king of man. He's not devaluing his title, his throne, anything like that. Obviously, great to see. We love some good character development. But in actuality, the thing that has me hype is, well, the thing that has me like slightly disappointed yet hyped is, you can check the live reaction out of this on Patreon. I did it long back, like a little bit after the chapter came out. I just got sidetracked on actually recording the review. The line now is, now let us tear at his very heart, Desmos. But the original line was, I can't quote it exactly, even though I literally just added that live reaction, but I can't wait to let Desmos eat your heart. It was a better bar, essentially. Obviously, it was an unofficially translated bar, or maybe not as good as a translation, but still, it's still a bar. It's still a bar. We'll put respect on his name. And we see that these two kings, both in stations of equal value, the one who lays down his life and the one who feels the pain in the lives of others, stare each other down. And they both have this sort of realization that only two kings can have. Like, those with minds of a king can only stand before these two in their same situation and truly understand the gravity and weight of what was going to happen here. And they could both feel it in their bones, their fibers, their existence. this match of kings was soon to be at its end. And speaking of at its end, golly gee willikers, the drip is endless. Look at Hades, look at Kin, they are swagging. I mean, the skull set, the only thing I will say is kinda corny. Like, Hades, come on now, bro, you ain't Anubis, bro, chill out. Anubis is gonna drop later, chill. But it is kinda a little bit crazy and corny that he has like a whole skull staff. Like, come on now, Hades. And ironically enough, I think it's just because I'm so used to like the basic depiction of a sarcophagus. But that thing behind Hades' head, like, I can't see it as anything like cool, majestic, regal, and royal. It looks like either an Egyptian, well, I guess that is cool, majestic, regal, and royal, but it looks like an Egyptian sort of sarcophagus, and it looks like a bee. There's nothing in between. However, the rest of it's drippy. Like, I especially like the fade into the black pants. Like, and notably, it is all his pants. It's not armor. It may be armored pants, though. Meanwhile, Ken, he just looks so regal atop his throne. And obviously, he balling in the sauce, too. So he a little bit different as well. We do get to see that with their realization that, you know, well, the match is about to end one way or another. I feel like their realization, them taking up stances, sort of put the entire crowd to rest. Like, everyone is frozen. There's no speech, there's no cheering, there's nothing. Everyone's just locked in on the fight. And you see Hades strike pose and Kin strike pose. And all it takes, everyone's looking, everyone's in, everyone's invested. And with a gulp of boom. It's very interesting. I wish I had like the manga in hand so I could like flip through it. I want to see how it works page by page, because I love how hi, I'm that guy with the pencil. Me and I talk about weird art stuff and what I like in certain manga art and detailing and stuff like that. Since I primarily read manga, I like reading. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. I can't help it. But what I like here is that the page is very panel filled, or at least the page before Hades' strike is very panel filled. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 10? That's 10 whole panels on the previous page. And then it just hard snaps into one. And notably, another thing about these panels is that while obviously the regular Ragnarok mangaka are, both of them, the artists are crazy, and honestly, they can draw anything and make it look good. I bet they could draw a rock and put my entire artistic portfolio to shame. But at the same time, the detail there is so much lesser that it's sort of like you get sucked in because you're like zooming in, you're trying to look so hard. So when the page finally flips, when you click that next page, you just see this like full page spread of Igor, Eos, and just Hades charging. You get the beautiful detail on Desmos. I really, really like it. It's weird. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a great graphic transition. It's also just good paneling. Like, long story short, it's good paneling. I like that. And we get to see that Hades, being the one to strike first, as always, is lunging in, and Hwang responds with Chiyo's sword form, Shi Hwang Yan Cut. And I wonder, did his mama teach him this too? I bet she did. And we see that, this is a very interesting way to try and intercept it, though. I will admit, like, a thrust with a downward stat. Like, notably, if Hwang was wielding, like, a hammer or any sort of broader weapon or something like that, I would get the downward slash here. Well, I guess it makes sense, because when he tried to, like, equal it out, like, meet it at its point, he failed and nearly lost his arm. So it does make sense to try something new, but at the same time, looking at Desmos, like, you can even see the comparison in the very next panel. But looking at Desmos compared to the Hwang sword, it's like two completely different levels of size and obviously strength. Like, Hades isn't just thrusting with his arm strength, he's also running with momentum. Like, there's a whole bunch of extra forces working in Hades' favor. Meanwhile, Kin just stands there and swings downward. I wonder what could happen. But we do get to see this massive clash. And with the clash comes, obviously, the fact that Hades had a whole bunch of extra momentum factors, pushed towards him and allowed him to completely overwhelm Kin. Like, straight up, they have a great clash and a clang, but immediately Kin is knocked off balance. And notably, you could definitely attribute this to the fact that a good chunk of his arm is missing, good chunk of his torso is missing. Like, that definitely doesn't help. But what would help is you hitting the like button and also subscribing. Do you know they're both free and greatly help out the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. However, it is crazy to see that, like, Kin, he gets knocked back, but he does have enough wherewithal to react. And, like, I'm not sure if that's a speed feat, but, like, he has enough wherewithal to get knocked off balance by Desmos, but then immediately acknowledge Desmos' oncoming threat in existence to him, and then just barely, like, he reacts and just barely moves out the way. And once again, you can just see, it's weird to say, it's very simple, but the little touches, like, Hades doesn't just get at Hwang. He straight stabs him and picks him up off the ground, like, straight lifts him with a standing thrust. Like, it's like, sure, the spear is tilted slightly up angle wise, but it's not like Hades' goal was not to send him flying, but he very easily did. And we get this, I don't, like, Rudra and Chunyo, like that, like, Chunyu, let me not even play no games. Chunyan, I feel bad, because like, I remembered her first name, but this next statement is going to sound pretty hypocritical if I can't remember her full name. But, like, Rudra and Chunyan, for two, what they really are, background characters in parts of a backstory, they really hit different. Like, compared to, like, straight up, I like those two characters better than some of the fighters that have fought so far. And obviously they got a fraction of the screen time. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I first read this chapter, like, Gear and Brunhild's reactions, like, they got me, obviously, but the look of absolute despair on Chunyan's face, it like hurt. It hurt her. And you cannot, and, like, I hope y'all can get why. Like, it's just, she's literally watching, essentially, and she does have her son right next to her, but she's watching another one of her children pretty much perish right in front of her. And that's gotta be traumatizing, especially if she taught him. Like, you gotta realize, it's very likely, I'm not sure how much training Kin did afterwards. We know he did a lot of battling, but in terms of, like, specific fighting style stuff, who knows? That literally could have been the move that Chunyan taught him to deal with scenarios like that. But it failed. And so she may even be thinking in this moment, I failed him on multiple levels. He wasn't strong enough to survive this, and my technique wasn't good enough to combat that. And you can get all of that just out of the look of pure despair on her face. I love it. That, and once again, I talk about this all the time, but good art matters. Or no, art matters. I've heard a lot of people say, you know, I don't really care about art. As long as the story is good as P. But no. Good art, well, maybe, nah, at least for me, art matters, like, too much. Like, if I straight up do not like your art style, I won't read your manga. I picked up Kuroko no Basket and dropped it. Like, I started reading it because I liked Blue Lock and I heard Kuroko no Basket was great, but I may actually just have to watch the anime for that because I just cannot stand the Kuroko no Basket art. But and you can have, like, good art. Like, I'd say Gege's art is good. There are some things that he's amazing at, which is, like, combat choreography and stuff like that, but in terms of just sheer artistic quality, he's not the highest up there. But then you have people like the Record of Ragnarok mangaka and Kohei Horikoshi, who just blow you away with every single one of their drawings and add that much extra level of motion and tension and weight to every single action and moment through good art. AKA, long story short, good art makes peak. You get to see that, you know, this battle did call. I can't say it. He should have gone back to the armory, if you know what I'm saying, because golly, the arm's off. It is gone. That bad boy gone. What's that song? It's definitely a nerdcore song. I forget what the song it is, but That Boy Gone, I think it literally is just the name of the song, because that arm left, perished, gone. And it was a rough cut. Like, Desmos is not, it's a smooth blade, but it's not the smoothest of blade. Like, Kim bleeding. And we get to see that he lands back and he just, like, he plops, like he is done, like straight he's launched flying and just sent dragged through the ground. And we see that using all that power did take a lot out of Hades. Like, even as Heimdall declares, like, oh wow, Hades is crazy, he just RKO'd, like he's like, whoa. Like, Heimdall's losing his mind. But at the same time, we get to see that Hades really is, like, it's taken a lot out of him to even just simply put Kin down. And we get to see that, once again, we cut back to the swordsman trio, plus the Valkyrie, and we notice that, obviously, despite wielding a blade now and going on the offensive, his offense couldn't even reach Hades. Meaning that offense is in the way, and defense isn't an option anymore. So now, everyone's kind of just looking on with despair, because what's left? He lost a whole arm, that's even more balance gone. Alvatir's in even more pain, and once again, that's her arm. The fact that she spawns in with both arms is kind of crazy. But we see that, once again, even using their full, like, insane in the membrane strength, Alvatir straight up admits, like, yo, we just couldn't do it. Like, we tried, we gave it our all, we gave it our best, but that boy Hades, he ain't sweet. he about that. And notably, we get to see that, and this is a very interesting moment. I'm not sure, like, upon a reread of the whole fight and a reanalysis of Kin's character, which is definitely coming sometime in the future, I'm going to come back to this moment and wonder. Because I wonder, is this just like, is it adrenaline? Is it mania? Like, what is it? Like, notably, creatures in general, but, like, obviously, because humans are humans, we know a whole lot about humans. Humans on the verge of failure, death, anything, like, we can kind of go nuts, physically and especially mentally. So it's interesting to see that after the loss of his arm, rather than, like, coughing blood, going crazy, and obviously we know he said earlier in the chapter, the pain of my own doesn't hurt too much, but that's a whole arm though, it ain't even just a shoulder no more. But his eyes are wide open. He has this starry look, quite literally, starry look in his eyes. And we see that he's looking at something that no one else can see. And when, in Huang's perspective, he's naked, for one. Check out the Huang cheeks. But he's also just seeing a beautiful star in a night sky. Which, very interesting. I doubt that's his perspective all the time. I think we have seen Huang's perspective before, and it does not look like this. So I wonder if this is, like, Sasuke had a moment where he scanned all of creation and literally became unparalleled in all creation. That was a moment where he truly just scanned everything. That was his transcendence. And I wonder if this is Kin's. Like, this is his moment where he is fully immersed and involved within everything. Like, this is truly his all, and that's why his perspective is like this, because he's pushed so close to death. Very interesting. I wonder what I'm serious. I'm even interested in what my own conclusions will be about this after a while. But we do get to see that he stabs his blade into the ground, and he slowly begins to drag himself up, even to the shock of Hades. Like, Hades is like, huh? And we see him rise. And obviously, with the entirety of humanity, not to talk of his mother and all of his own people, but with the entirety of humanity looking on to him as their hope, as hopefully their savior, as a king, he's like, a king never doubts. Hold on, actually, let me put a voice on this one. Let me put a voice on this one. A king never doubts. A king never yields. A king never relies, and a king never surrenders. And I'll admit, I just wish I had better artistic ability, y'all. Like, I ain't even gonna lie to you, I know exactly what you're looking at, because I already drawn for both chapters at this point. But man, I wish I had the artistic ability to draw that. Like, the detailing in the sword, the armor itself, like, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna figure that out. It is such a beautiful panel, and it's great to see how he takes up the responsibility of kingship, and it really shows what his side of the narrative is meant to represent. Like, the whole kingly narrative for Kin is much more involved than Hades, ironically enough. But we'll cover that a little bit next time. But that is the end of the chapter. And honestly, if I had to give chapter 63 a rating, despite it really, shockingly enough, it has one clash, one attack shared. Yet I really appreciate it because it does a whole ton with what's established. It gives me a whole bunch of the stuff I like about Record of Ragnarok. It gives more insight into the mystery of the world. It gives more of the character reactions I love to see. It gives more of that juicy stuff, that juicy character stuff that I really enjoy and appreciate. And on top of that, it doesn't just give me that. It also gives me an evolution of a concept that we've seen before. The interaction between the Volund partners, the Valkyrie and the human, that bond that they share and their critiques of the other and how they interact and how they view each other as partners essentially in death. I think that's great. It once again shows the sheer power of the King of the Underworld, and as basic as some of his power can be, it still is amazing to see. And it even gives us a cool new weapon design, takes off Kin's whole arm, and invites us to an amazing conclusion. And obviously the art is peak. Like, hold on, let me do a quick scan. I just hurt myself. But let me do a quick scan throughout the entire chapter. Like, notably, I will point out like one or two bum pages, like pages where I think like one of the artists dropped the ball. But like, and notably, whenever I say one of the artists dropped the ball, I'm coming from a dude who could never even begin to draw this if you gave me 5 years. Like, the fact that they released this monthly, couldn't imagine. But yeah, like throughout the entire chapter, there is no miss for Record of Ragnarok art wise. So overall, I think it's a 10 out of 10 chapter for me. However, those are my thoughts. Please send me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. We can get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.